Imagine you're an ancient Greek sailor, let's say in the year 400 BCE.
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah, so you are trapped right in the middle of the Aegean Sea. The sky is just bruised and black, and this massive hurricane is actively tearing your wooden ship apart.
Oh, wow. Terrified.
Right, you are absolutely terrified. You're praying, and then suddenly your ship's wooden mast starts glowing with this violent blue-violet plasma.
Oh, St. Elmo's fire.
Exactly. It looks like ghostly fire clinging to the rigging. But, I mean, you don't know anything about atmospheric electricity,
Oh,
right?
no, definitely not.
You don't know what plasma physics is. You just know that the great gods have arrived to, pull you back from the abyss.
It's a literal miracle to them.
It really is. Now, I want you to hold that image because I want you to imagine that thousands of miles away and hundreds of years later, medieval Jewish mystics are sitting in the candlelight of a study hall in Spain.
Right, vastly different setting.
Totally different. But they are using the exact same secret words and the exact same underlying architecture to describe how the entire universe was created.
It's just, I mean, it's a juxtaposition that completely shatters the neat, compartmentalized timelines we usually rely on to, understand history.
It really does break the timeline.
Because you have these rugged physical mystery cults of the ancient Mediterranean on one hand, and then the highly abstract metaphysical world of Jewish Kabbalah on the other.
Right.
On paper, these two worlds should just never intersect.
But they do.
Yeah.
And not just, in passing. They intersect in ways that are so structurally identical, it honestly borders on the impossible.
It really is mind-bending.
It is. So welcome to the Deep Dive. We are tackling a massive historical and esoteric mystery today. We are asking, did the secretive Greek and Thracian mystery cults of the ancient world share a hidden foundational DNA with the mystical Jewish tradition of the Kabbalah?
And to even begin answering that, we have to synthesize information that spans multiple continents, thousands of years, and several distinct ancient languages.
It's a massive undertaking.
It is. We're going to be looking at classical archaeological records, linguistic studies of Thracian dialects, and some deeply esoteric 19th century texts.
Which means we are dealing with a really complex web of sources for this deep dive.
We absolutely are.
We'll be pulling threads from everything from, the 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica's breakdown of ancient cults to H.P. Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine.
Right, and Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages.
Yeah, alongside modern treatises like The Gods of Macedon and some foundational Kabbalistic glossaries, our mission is to trace the invisible lines connecting the Kabeiroi.
Those ancient great gods of the sea and fire.
Exactly, to the Kabbalah. We're going to examine the startling parallels between a mythological herald named Cadmillus and the Kabbalistic blueprint of Adam Kadmon.
The linguistics there are just fascinating.
They really are. And we'll explore the ancient roots of words like Axi and Asaluf and uncover how both of these traditions mapped the descent of divine energy into physical matter.
But a quick point of context before we jump into the deep end here.
Yeah, please.
When we bring in sources like Blavatsky or Hall, we really have to acknowledge that we are stepping into 19th century esotericism.
Right. Which has its own flavor.
It does. Modern academic linguists and historians often heavily debate or honestly just outright reject some of the etymological leaps these authors make.
That's a fair warning.
But our goal here isn't to validate one specific theology or to settle academic disputes about root languages.
Right.
It's to look impartially at the undeniable structural patterns these thinkers identified across these seemingly isolated ancient texts and, explore the profound philosophical implications of those overlaps.
Exactly. We are looking at the architecture of the ideas themselves. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We need to start by setting the stage in the ancient Mediterranean. Who, or I guess what, were the Kabeiroi?
So if you consult the classical encyclopedic sources, the Kabeiroi, usually spelled Caberri, were this group of incredibly powerful pre-Olympian deities.
Pre-Olympian, so older than Zeus and the gang.
Exactly, much older. And what's crucial to understand is that their worship wasn't centered in the, pristine, sunlit marble temples of Athens.
Right, this wasn't mainstream state religion.
No, this was not the state-sponsored religion of Zeus or Apollo at all. The Kabeiroi were heavily localized in these very rugged, volcanic regions.
We were talking about islands in the northern Aegean Sea, right?
Yeah.
Like Lemnos, Imbros, and Most famously, the mountainous island of Samothrace.
Samothrace is key here.
It's one of the places that just constantly looms in the background of ancient mysteries. I mean, it was a major initiation center right up there with Eleusis,
Yeah, absolutely.
but had a much darker, I don't know, more primordial reputation.
It really did. The rites there were nocturnal, they were highly secretive, and deeply tied to the terrifying forces of nature.
Like volcanoes and storms.
Exactly. The Kabeiroi were primarily associated with two things: volcanic, subterranean fire, and the protection of sailors in peril.
Which brings us back to that blue-violet glowing plasma from the intro.
Right, St. Elmo's fire.
Yeah.
That is a real meteorological phenomenon. It happens when there's a strong electrical field in the atmosphere, usually during a thunderstorm, which ionizes the air and creates this glowing plasma around pointed objects.
Like the masts of a ship.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, if you are an ancient sailor, that is absolute magic.
Oh, 100%.
You're in the darkest, most terrifying moment of your life, and this ghostly fire just appears. It's no wonder they believed it was the literal presence of the Kabeiroi. They basically deified the electricity.
They deified the invisible forces that move the physical world. That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And the most prominent configuration of these gods, specifically worshipped in those Samothracian mysteries, was a tetrad.
A group of four.
Right, a group of four.
And the sources outline this specific four-part structure very clearly. You have Axieros, who the Greeks later associated with the Earth Mother Demeter.
Yeah.
You have Axiochirsa, who was identified with Persephone, you know, the maiden who travels to the underworld.
The bridge between worlds, yeah.
Then Axiochirsos, linked to Hades, the lord of that underworld. And finally, the fourth figure, Casmilis, or Cadmilis, who was associated with Hermes, the messenger god.
Now, what makes this tetrad so interesting is how tactile and geologically grounded their worship actually was.
How do you mean?
Well, if you read the material from the occult world source we have, it describes how the initiates of the Kabeiroi were obsessed with magnetism.
Magnetism. Really?
Yeah, they didn't just worship these gods conceptually, they engaged with them physically using lodestones.
Let's break that down for a second for anyone who doesn't know. A lodestone is a naturally magnetized piece of the mineral magnetite.
Right, it's an iron ore that naturally attracts other iron.
Exactly. And archaeological digs in the ancient necropolis on Samothrace have actually uncovered rings carved out of this magnetic lodestone.
Which is just, it's wild.
It is. The initiates would actually wear these iron rings.
That is just brilliant. Think about the psychological impact of that.
Right. If you are an ancient person and you hold two pieces of iron and an invisible force suddenly pulls them together.
Snapping them right out of your fingers.
Yeah. You feel like you are interacting with the unseen universe. You are literally feeling the pull of the gods.
It is the perfect physical metaphor for their spiritual beliefs, because magnetism is an invisible force that organizes matter.
It creates order.
Right. It creates a North Pole and a South Pole. It creates an axis. By wearing a lodestone ring, the initiate is demonstrating their attunement to those invisible currents of nature.
They're aligning themselves with the polarity of the earth.
Exactly, the earth and the cosmos.
Okay, so we have these ancient gods of polarity, of volcanic fire, and magnetic pole. This brings us to the elephant in the room, the linguistics.
Yes. The linguistics.
How do we get from the Greek islands to the Jewish Kabbalah? Because when I look at the source material, the etymology of the word Kabeiroi is a total battlefield.
It really is a battlefield. Everyone has a different theory.
Right. Classical Greek scholars usually try to connect the name Kabeiroi to the Greek word kaio, which means to burn.
Which makes perfect logical sense if you view them purely as deities of volcanic fire and plasma.
Like the burning ones. It's clean, it's Greek. But it doesn't stop there.
No, it really doesn't. Because the deeper you dig, the more complicated the roots become.
Like the Sumerian connection.
Yeah, some researchers point to the Sumerian word kabar, meaning copper, linking the Kabeiroi to the ancient guilds of metallurgists who guarded the secrets of smelting.
Which also fits the volcanic fire theme.
It does. And then you have the Semitic root kabir, which translates roughly to great or mighty.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a minute.
Go for it.
It is incredibly easy to take two words from entirely different language families that just happen to sound similar and build this massive, sweeping theory out of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So if the Semitic root is kabir, meaning great, and the Hebrew word kava means friend or associate, which the sources link to these ancient priestly brotherhoods, How do we know this isn't just a massive phonetic coincidence?
It's a valid question.
Like, are we really supposed to believe that Kabir and the Jewish mystical tradition of Kabbalah are structurally linked just because they sort of sound alike? Modern linguists would tear that apart.
And they do tear it apart. A modern academic linguist would completely agree with your skepticism.
Right, because they want a paper trail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They demand a rigid, linear trail of textual transmission. But if we look at this through the lens of esoteric history, which is what scholars like Friedrich Schelling and H.P. Blavatsky did in the 19th century, the perspective shifts entirely.
Okay.
Well, in esotericism, linguistic overlaps like this are rarely viewed as just coincidence. They are viewed as surviving fragments of an older, unified proto-language.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Blavatsky and her contemporaries absolutely pounced on the connection between the Kabirim, the mighty ones, and the Kabbalah, the received tradition.
So they are arguing that both of these cultures are essentially drawing water from a much older, deeper well.
That is the exact metaphor we should use, actually, especially considering another linguistic link found in the texts.
The beer connection.
Yes.
Huh.
In Hebrew, the word beer literally means well or source.
Right.
Some esoteric analyses suggest that the root of Kabeiroi contains this concept, a great source, a mighty wellspring of divine knowledge.
So the Kabbalah is the tradition of drawing from that well, and the Kabeiroi were the personifications of the well's power itself.
Exactly. It makes the connection much more conceptual, rather than just a pun.
It does, and it gets even stranger when you look at the research from Bezel Chulev in the Gods of Macedon text.
Oh, the Thracian pronunciation?
Yes. He points out that the Latinized spelling Cabiri actually obscures how the ancient Thracians and Macedonians would have pronounced it.
Right, because they didn't have that hard C sound in the same way.
Right. He argues the original pronunciation was closer to Kabeiroi.
Which is a profound shift in meaning.
Huge, because in vernacular ancient Macedonian, Kabeiroi literally translates to energy whirls.
Energy whirls, that completely changes how we visualize these entities.
It really does. It strips away all the anthropomorphism.
Totally. I mean, these weren't human-like figures sitting on thrones throwing lightning bolts.
Right, not Zeus on a cloud.
No. If Kabeiroi means energy whirls, then these ancient people were worshipping vortexes of cosmic energy.
Like they were describing the fundamental swirling architecture of the universe.
Exactly. The same twisting forces that create a magnetic field or a whirlpool in the ocean.
That is so cool.
And when you realize that the root kabar was also heavily associated with the transit of Venus in antiquity, you start to see that these cultures were using variations of the same phonetic sounds to describe celestial mechanics and fundamental physics.
So it's a shared cosmic vocabulary.
Exactly.
Whether you call them the Kabirim, the mighty ones, or the Kabeiroi, the energy whirls, you are essentially talking about the primordial forces that build reality.
Yes. Which brings us perfectly to the fourth member of the Kabeiroi tetrad.
The one who acts as the bridge.
Right. Let's really dig into Cadmilus.
Okay, Cadmilus, sometimes translated as Casmilus or Cadmos, is that fourth deity, the one that Greeks linked to Hermes, right?
Right, the messenger.
So when you look at the etymology provided in the texts, the name Cadmilus is derived from the Phoenician word Kedem, which means the eastern or the ancient god.
The ancient one, the first one.
Exactly. And Schelling's analysis provides another layer. He translates a variation, Kadmiel, as meaning he who goes before the god.
He is a herald.
He is the herald. He is not the supreme, unknowable creator deity itself. He is the active agent.
Right. The texts refer to him as the angel of the visage.
I love that phrase.
It's beautiful, because if the ultimate divine source is completely blinding and incomprehensible to us, Cadmilus is the face that humanity can actually look at.
He is the interface between the infinite and the mortal.
He is.
So keep that definition in your mind. Cadmilus, the ancient one, the herald, the interface who steps down from the blinding divine light.
Because this is where the parallel to Jewish mysticism becomes impossible to ignore.
Right. We need to introduce the Kabbalistic concept of Adam Kadmon.
Okay, so to understand Adam Kadmon, as it's detailed in the Jewish Virtual Library and the Encyclopedic Theosophical Glossary, we have to completely erase the image of the biblical Adam in the Garden of Eden.
Right, we aren't talking about a physical human being hanging out with a snake in an apple tree.
Not at all. Adam Kadmon translates to the primordial man or the supreme man.
But what does that actually mean in this context?
To really grasp what that means, we have to look at the mechanics of Kabbalistic creation.
Okay.
In Kabbalah, before anything exists, before time, before space, before light, there is only the Ein Sof.
The Ein Sof. Let's pause and actually visualize this because it's a massive concept.
It is. Ein Sof translates literally to the endless or the infinite.
Right.
It is the absolute unmanifested Godhead. You can't give it traits. You can't say it is good or angry or loving because assigning a trait is a limitation.
You're putting a box around the infinite.
Exactly. It is an ocean without a shore. It is a thought before the mind even forms the intention to think it. It is boundless nothingness that contains the potential for absolute everything.
But wait, if it's infinite and boundless and it fills everything, how do we get a universe? How do you get planets and trees and people?
That is the ultimate metaphysical problem.
Right.
If the infinite fills everything, there's literally no room for the finite. So the Ein Sof undergoes a process called Tzimtzum, which is a contraction.
It shrinks.
It pulls its infinite light back to create a vacuum, a hollow space.
Oh, yeah.
And into that empty space, it shoots a single focused beam of divine light.
Oh, okay.
That first highly organized burst of emanation into the void, that first manifestation, is Adam Kadmon.
Okay, so Cadmolus in the ancient Greek and Thracian mysteries means the ancient god or the herald.
Right.
And Adam Kadmon in the Jewish mysteries means the primordial supreme first emanation. Both share this phonetic root of KDM.
Yep.
Both represent the first ancient interface between the unknowable infinite and the manifested universe.
And it goes even deeper into the linguistics.
Really?
Yeah, the Blavatsky source points to Chaldean accounts that break the name down further into Adam Kadmon.
Wait, breaking down the syllables?
Yes. Ad meaning father, Ak meaning creator.
Oh, that's wild.
Under that reading, Adam Kadmon becomes the one son of the Divine Father or the Creator. He is the cosmic logos, the animating intelligence of the universe.
Let me try to put an analogy on this to make the mechanics clear. Tell me if this works.
Let's hear it.
So it's like the Ein Sof is the pure abstract concept of shelter. You know, you can't live inside a concept.
Right.
So Adam Kadmon is the master blueprint of a house. He isn't the house itself. You can't touch the bricks or open the doors yet. But every single structural detail, every load-bearing wall, the complete perfect geometry of the entire universe is contained in his design.
I love that.
He is the idea of the universe made visible on the architect's table.
That is an excellent framework. Adam Kadmon is the master blueprint. And if we carry that over to the Kabeiroi,
Right.
Cadmolus is the master architect holding that blueprint, walking onto the muddy physical job site to start communicating that perfect design to the physical builders.
Yes. But to push that blueprint analogy even further, the sources, specifically Manly P. Hall and Tobias Churton, make it clear that Adam Kadmon isn't just holding the blueprint. He is the blueprint.
Exactly. Adam Kadmon is entirely conceptual. Manly P. Hall describes him as being made of fire mist.
The fire mist.
Yeah. His body constitutes the entire cosmos. And specifically, his body is composed of the Sephirot.
The spheres on the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Right. The Sephirot are the 10 divine emanations forces, like wisdom, understanding, mercy, severity, and beauty.
Oh.
These 10 spheres map out the anatomy of Adam Kadmon. The universe is literally built in his image.
So every part of the physical cosmos, down to our own human bodies, corresponds to a specific aspect of this primordial man.
Yes, exactly.
But building this house requires a sacrifice. Like the blueprint can't just stay perfectly clean on the architect's table. If the house is actually going to be built, the blueprint has to be taken out into the dirt.
Right, it gets muddy.
And this is where the esoteric sources talk about a deep structural tragedy inherent in creation.
It is the tragedy of existence. Tobias Churton's text highlights this brilliantly.
What does he say?
Well, for the universe to exist, this divine spark, this perfect infinite image of the true God has to be duped into lower creation.
Duped. Wow.
Yeah. The infinite has to intentionally limit itself to become finite. The perfect unity has to shatter to become physical multiplicity.
The etheric magic text in our sources refers to this as the geometry of sacrifice. I love that phrase.
It's incredibly poetic and highly technical. The cross of incarnation.
Yeah.
To manifest in physical matter is literally a sacrifice for the divine. It is a fall into form.
Right.
Adam Kadmon represents that initial, agonizingly beautiful moment where the infinite agrees to be bound by the finite so that you and I and the stars and the earth can actually exist.
And this perfectly mirrors the mechanics of the Kabeiroi mysteries on Samothrace.
It does.
Because remember, the Kabeiroi weren't sky gods hanging out on clouds. They were worshipped as the lords of the underworld.
Exactly.
They governed the descent. They governed the soul falling into the heavy magnetic volcanic matter of the earth.
Which brings us to the actual architecture of this reality they were building.
Right, let's leave the heralds for a moment and look at the foundation itself.
Let's look at the first three gods of the Kabeiroi tetrad: Axioros, Axiochirsa, and Axiochirsus.
Notice the pattern there. They all start with the exact same prefix.
Yep.
Axi. Now, according to the Thracian archaeological sources we reviewed, that prefix is not just a random phonetic sound. Axieros translates literally to child or offspring of the axis.
Or, more specifically, the tree.
The axis mundi. The world tree.
Exactly. This is one of the oldest concepts in human mythology. The giant pillar or tree that connects the underworld, the earthly realm, and the heavens.
Right. And the third Kabeiroi god, Axiochirsus, who is associated with the planet Saturn, Kronos, the god of time and restriction, and the deep underworld.
Heavy stuff.
Very heavy. He is explicitly described in the ancient texts as being bound to the Asherah pole.
Which is key.
Because the Asherah pole is the ancient and Near Eastern physical symbol for the axis mundi.
If we step back and look at the mechanical overlap here, the bridge back to Kabbalah is just staggering.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Right. On the Greek and Thracian side, you have the Axii deities. They are the offspring of the axis, the cosmic tree. Now, we just talked about the Kabbalistic tree of life, the Sephirot, which makes up the body of Adam Kadmon. Do you know what the highest, most divine realm on that tree of life is called?
It's called Atziluth.
Atziluth, or, in some transliterations, Atzilith. And the Hebrew root connected to this concept is etzi, which means tree.
Axi, axis, etzi, Atziluth. We are looking at the exact same phonetic and conceptual architecture. It's almost eerie.
Phonetically, they are operating in the same territory. Conceptually, they are identical.
Wow.
The esoteric glossaries and the Coleridge thesis in our sources do a phenomenal job of explaining the mechanics of Atziluth.
How does it work?
Well, in Kabbalah, reality doesn't just happen all at once. The light from the Ein Sof filters down through 4 worlds of existence, getting denser and heavier at each stage until it finally becomes physical matter.
Okay, so like light passing through a series of thicker and thicker prisms.
Precisely. And Atziluth is the very first of these 4 worlds. It is the world of emanation.
So at the top rung of the ladder, it is the highest possible frequency of reality.
The absolute top. It is the pure, boundless realm of divine names. It is the literal home of Adam Kadmon, the prototype.
Right.
In Atziluth, everything is perfectly unified. There is no separation, no subject-object dualism, no physical matter whatsoever.
Just pure energy.
Pure, unadulterated, divine fire. It is only as that energy cascades down into the lower 3 worlds that things start to separate, condense, cool down, and become physical.
So both of these traditions, developed by supposedly isolated cultures separated by immense geography and time, are engineering the exact same metaphysical map.
Yep.
The Thracian Aki deities are the children of the cosmic tree, representing the primal archetypal forces of nature before they solidify.
Exactly.
And Atziluth rooted in Atzi, the tree is the ultimate cosmic tree of emanation, the realm of the pure archetypes. Both systems are trying to articulate the absolute boundary line between the unmanifested creator and the manifested creation.
They are mapping the same invisible territory using different cultural dialects.
It is profound.
It is. And what's truly remarkable is how meticulously both systems map the descent from that highest point down into the physical dirt.
Right. We established the top rung, the axis.
Yeah.
Atziluth.
Yeah.
But you just mentioned that there are 4 worlds in Kabbalah.
Yes.
And earlier, we emphasized that the core of the Kabeiroi mysteries was a tetrad, a group of 4 gods.
It's not a coincidence.
This structure is entirely too perfect to ignore. We need to lay out this 4-fold descent. How do we get from the pure, unified fire mist of Atziluth down to the magnetic lodestone rings in the muddy caves of Samothrace? Explain the mechanics of these 4 worlds.
Okay, let's walk down the ladder step by step.
Okay.
In Kabbalah, the descent of divine energy is structured through 4 cascading worlds, each denser than the last.
Got it.
The first, as we covered, is Atziluth, the world of emanation. Its elemental correspondence is fire.
Right.
This is the purely divine realm, complete unity, where the will to create first sparks.
The highest frequency.
Right. The second world is Braya, the world of creation. Its elemental correspondence is air.
Yeah, okay.
This is the archangelic realm. Here, the pure, unified light of Atziluth starts to separate. It takes on the very first subtle forms of abstract thought and divine intellect.
So it's getting a little denser.
Exactly. The third world is Yetzirah, the world of formation. Its element is water.
Water.
This is the astral realm. This is the realm of emotions, symbols, and the energetic templates. The blueprint is starting to gather materials.
It's taking shape.
Yes. And the fourth world, right at the bottom, is Asaya, the world of action or matter.
Okay, Asai.
Its element is earth. This is our physical realm. This is the realm of solid matter, the stars, the planets, the trees, and our physical human bodies.
Okay, let me use another analogy here to ground this for you, the listener. Think of these four worlds like the process of a writer writing a novel.
Oh, I like this.
So Atziluth the fire is that lightning bolt moment of pure inspiration. The idea just exists perfectly in the writer's mind as a unified feeling.
Complete unity.
Right. Then Braya, the air, is when the writer starts outlining. The pure feeling separates into abstract concepts, characters, plot lines, themes. It's intellect.
Yep.
Then Yetzirah, the water, is the actual drafting process. The writer is pouring emotion into the characters, shaping the dialogue, building the energetic form of the story.
Formation.
Exactly. And finally, Asaya, the earth, is the printed book. It is bound in physical paper and ink, sitting on a shelf. The infinite idea has been trapped in physical matter.
That is a flawless breakdown of how the Kabbalistic worlds operate. Now, look at how the four gods of the Kabeiroi Tetrad mirror this exact same descending cosmic structure.
Well, let's see it.
It is a one-to-one mapping. At the top, corresponding to fire on Atziluth, you have Demeter, or Axioros.
Okay.
She is the supreme mother, the ultimate unified source of all earthly manifestation.
We're at the wellspring.
Moving down to Braya, the world of air and intellect, you have Persephone, or Axiokursa. Think about her myth. Persephone is the transitional soul. She travels between the underworld and the surface, acting as the bridging mechanism that dictates the seasons of spring and winter.
See, she's the movement.
Exactly. She operates exactly how Braya acts as the breath or the air that bridges the divine fire above and the astral waters below.
That is incredible. And then we hit the third level, Yetzirah. Water and formation.
Yes. Below Persephone is Hades, or Axiokursos.
The underworld god.
He is the lord of the deep, dark underworld. He represents Saturnian restriction. He governs the deep, heavy waters of the psyche in the astral realm.
Right, because water is Yetzirah.
Exactly. He provides the heavy, restrictive boundaries that are necessary before things can solidify, which maps perfectly to the formative constraints of Yetzirah.
And finally, we hit the physical dirt. Asaya, earth and action. And who is waiting for us there?
Cadmus?
Hermes, the messenger.
Yes. He is the active agent. He is the one whose winged feet actually touch the physical earth, the one who physically initiates humanity into the mysteries of the universe.
He is the active principle moving in the physical world of Asaya.
What's deeply fascinating about this mapping is that it reveals these ancient traditions were not just telling campfire stories to entertain each other.
They weren't just myths.
No, they were building a unified field theory of consciousness and physics.
That's a huge claim, but the parallels are there.
They really are. Whether you were a Thracian initiate sitting in the dark on Samothrace, feeling the literal physical pull of a lodestone ring and learning about magnetic polarity,
Right.
or a Jewish Kabbalist in medieval Spain meditating on how the light of the Ein Sof filters through the Sephirot and eventually gets trapped in the physical shells of matter, what they call the Klupoth, you were studying the exact same multidimensional physics.
Let's unpack that term quickly because it perfectly illustrates the concept of Asaya, or the physical world, the Klipoth, shells.
Right. In Kabbalah, as the divine light descends through the worlds, it gets heavier and more restricted.
Because it has to, right, to become solid.
Exactly. By the time it reaches our physical world, Asaya, the light is encased in dense, restrictive matter to keep it from overwhelming us. These casings are the Klipoth.
So it's like a protective layer.
Think of it like the bark of a tree. The sap, the pure life force, is the divine light. But if the rigid, dead shell of the bark isn't there, the sap just spills out and is lost.
That makes total sense.
The restriction is necessary for the physical form to exist, but the goal of the mystic is to break through the shell to reconnect with the light.
The ultimate metaphysical escape room.
Basically.
Both the Kabbalists and the Kabeiroi initiates were trying to solve the exact same mystery. How does infinite energy become solid matter?
Yes.
And more importantly, once you are trapped in that solid matter, once you are wrapped in the bark of the Klipoth, how do you find your way back up the tree?
They recognize that reality is a spectrum, a descent of frequency, and humanity's entire spiritual role is to understand the mechanics of that descent. so that we can consciously begin the ascent back up to the source.
Back up the axis.
Back to Atziluth.
When you look at the sheer geographical distance between these cultures, the rugged Greek islands and the intellectual hubs of Jewish mysticism, it makes this structural connection almost impossible to ignore.
It really does.
And it brings up a vital point about how we view our ancestors. It's so easy to look back at ancient people and dismiss them as primitive, frightened by thunderstorms, just making up gods to explain the rain.
That is a massive disservice to their intelligence.
Right.
These texts prove that they were highly sophisticated metaphysical engineers. They understood invisible forces like magnetism and polarity.
It had lodestone rings.
Exactly. They grasped the concept of infinity and manifestation. And they encoded these profound, complex truths about energy, consciousness, and the structure of reality into their myths.
They hid the physics in the stories.
They hid the physics in the stories so that the knowledge would survive the inevitable rise and fall of empires.
The blueprint was hidden in the poetry.
Perfectly said.
Okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground today. Let's take a breath and recap this incredible journey.
Good idea.
We started in the terrifying volcanic storms of the Aegean Sea with the Kabeiroi, and found their names vibrating with the same ancient energy as the word Kabbalah.
We trace the concept of the great well, the beer, the source of power.
Right. We met Kid-Melis, the ancient herald of the gods, and recognized him as the architect carrying the master blueprint of Adam Kadmon, the primordial man.
And we climbed the ancient world tree.
We did. We matched the Thracian Axie-deities to the pure, flaming emanations of the highest Kabbalistic world, Atziluth. And we watched the divine light step down the ladder, moving from fire to air to water to earth, mapping identically across both traditions.
It is a stunning synthesis. It forces us to entirely reevaluate the history of human thought.
Absolutely.
But it also leaves us with one final, deeply provocative question that the 19th century esoteric sources practically beg us to ask.
I have a feeling I know where this is going, but lay it on us.
So the sources we've unpacked, from Blavatsky to Manly P. Hall, even some of the more speculative archaeological records, all hint at a shared hidden origin point. They suggest that these overlapping blueprints, whether you find them in Greece, Thrace, Babylon, or Judea, might not be separate inventions.
So they aren't parallel evolution.
Right. They might all be the fragmented, surviving dialects of an even older, shattered civilization.
Oh, wow.
Some texts refer to this metaphorically or even literally as Atlantis, or a massive pre-flood world.
A global civilization that experienced its own cataclysm, its own astral shatter, as the texts describe it, leaving only these scattered mystery schools to preserve the remnants of their science.
Exactly. So here's the question we have to grapple with. If the magnetic rituals of the Kabeiroi and the mathematical mysticism of the Kabbalah are just two surviving, degraded dialects of the exact same ancient spiritual language.
What did the original language sound like?
Exactly. And more importantly, what happens to our reality if humanity ever learns how to speak it fluently again?
Oh, that gives me absolute chills. Imagine unlocking the root code of the universe. What happens when the X-ray machine of our historical timeline finally focuses perfectly and we see the original, unbroken foundation of human knowledge?
It changes everything.
It's something to deeply consider the next time you feel a static shock or watch a magnet pull iron across a table. You aren't just looking at basic physics, you're feeling the ancient pull of the Kabeiroi. You're touching the boundaries of Atziluth. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden architecture of the cosmos. Keep questioning the timeline, look for the patterns in the noise, and we'll see you in the muddy waters next time.